Welcome to the FNO InsurTech Podcast, a place where movers and shakers from all points within the insurance ecosystem gather and discuss all things InsurTech. Here are your hosts, Lee Boyd and Rob Beller.
Hey, podcast world, welcome to another, you won't believe it. You heard it all, but you really haven't. Just wait. Edition of FNO InsurTech, your favorite podcast in all the world, of course. And we're just sitting here talking about being annoying.
Yeah, it's true. We were.
And some of us, some of us have credentials in being annoying, me being one of them.
Well, some people are better at it than others.
Do you think that's what it is? Can you be better at being annoying?
I think some people don't mind that they're annoying, and they thrive upon it. It becomes their identity.
True. I fit into that category.
Maybe so.
Mm-hmm. In fact, I frequently don't even know that I'm being annoying until like somebody will tell me later on. Do you remember that one time we were in this place and you were so annoying?
I believe that because I didn't know. I thought you knew when I first, when we started hanging out all those years ago. And then like one day I said something, you're like, really? It came across that way? I was like, oh, I thought you knew. But no, now I'm used to it. You're not annoying to me now.
Yeah, I think I'm an acquired taste. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think that's very fair to say. You're like a fine wine.
Yeah, exactly.
A fine wine from a nice winery, perhaps.
You can't drink it too early.
Yeah. It's bitter. I don't know. I've never had a wine too early. They all taste the same to me. Expensive bottle, cheap bottle. They all kind of taste the same.
I wouldn't characterize you as annoying at all.
I do feel as though I have annoyed our wonderful producer, Aldrin, in the past.
Have you?
Yeah.
Have you?
Maybe he's needed some things.
We could ask him right now. I don't think that, I've never known you to be annoying, which is really a wonderfing attribute.
I appreciate that. But
that means
I'm sure
you're not edgy either. You're not out on the edge like me.
I'm very cautious of, being annoying. I don't want to be annoying. Now, I'm sure my family would tell you I'm beyond annoying in all the things I do, like tell them all the stuff I read and how annoying that is. And, but, they're family. You're supposed to annoy
I would imagine living with you, knowing some of your personal habits.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would think, that at school, like your kids are saying to other kids, oh, you think your dad's annoying?
Yeah.
You should live with my dad.
But the problem is I think it's more weird. I think I get a lot of the weird versus annoying. Like, he's super weird. Okay. He's super odd.
Okay.
I think I get that a lot.
Okay.
But I try to be chill.
Please never say that again.
I try to be chill. I'm hip. I'm learning. I'm learning slang. I'm learning what the kids are saying these days. Like cooking. Like I'm doing real good. I'm cooking. I think I use that right. Yeah, cooking.
Speaking of cooking, we're going to talk today about fire, which is an integral part of cooking, of course.
You use it in cooking. Yeah, you use it in cooking
under very controlled circumstances.
Yeah, fire can be a bad thing.
In an uncontrolled circumstance, it's a bummer.
It's a bad deal. It's a bad deal.
What word would your kids use for bummer?
Oh, I'm only elementary in slang.
I'm sure they have one, but we have a guest today that I don't exactly know how to tell you all about him. His name is Gadi Benjamini from Israel, and Gadi is co-founder of a company called FireDome. Yeah. And what FireDome does, how can I say this in a sentence? They protect property from fire. Is that?
Yeah, that would be good. I don't think we want to give away too much because he does such a great job. But in a nutshell, the mission is to protect property from fire. Not just put the fire out when the property is on fire, but to protect the property before the fire gets there.
I'll say this, as you're listening to our podcast, if you can today, go to fire-dome.com, fire-dome.com, because I think you'll find it helpful to see some of the information on their website.
I agree.
And so, like Lee said, we're not going to spoil this, because once you listen to this, you're going to go, OMG. Now, is that something you would say?
No, but I would. So thank you for
So
what
it's
it's
old
worth.
school. It's over. OMG is over.
It'll be back in a couple of years. It'll be fine.
Okay. So without further ado, we're going to get into that amazing interview with an amazing, wonderful guy all the way from Tel Aviv, Israel, Gadi Benjamini, CEO and co-founder of FireDome. Hey, everybody, we are here with our guests today, and one of the things that makes today special, more of a coincidence than anything else, is this is the first time we've had a podcast, and we're on 3 continents. We think it's 3 continents.
Oh, it's exactly 3 continents. Sure. Google verified.
Okay, well then, if it's on the internet, it's true.
It's true.
And so, 3 continents. Lee and I, here in the U.S., we have Gadi Benjamini in Tel Aviv, Israel, where it's nighttime. Thank you for joining us at night. Who is the co-founder and CEO of FireDome, a company that's just come out of stealth, and why we're here today, and we're going to dig into that. And we also have a member of FireDome's advisory board, Gabriel Gross, who's in Paris, France. So
we got the whole world covered. Well, a lot of the world covered.
As you know, we're always all over the place. Now we're really all over the place. So we're very excited to have you both with us. Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome. Thank you all for joining.
Thank you. Thank you for having us. It's a pleasure and honor to be here. Yeah, looking forward to explore what we're doing in FireDome, and let's hit the road.
Thank you.
And what I just have to ask, I'm in California where it's 9 a.m. What time is it in Israel?
It's 7 p.m.
7 p.m. And in Paris?
6 p.m.
Okay.
6 p.m.
So close enough. And
no one asked, but
11,
it's 11 where I am.
11 in Texas.
Yeah.
And freezing cold.
It's snowing. It's literally snowing in Texas.
And snowing. Okay, so let's jump in. I'm really interested in the fact that you have just come out of stealth. We've had other companies on who have gone through that, but nobody who's ever been so close to being in it or out of it, as you've just emerged. So why don't you start by telling us exactly the hard question, and that's what is FireDome, and what are you guys going to be doing?
Okay. So essentially, FireDome is a system that is aimed at protecting assets from wildfires, which, as we all know, is a burning issue, pun intended. And we've actually realized that about a year ago. We started the company a year ago, and we knew there were wildfires. We knew it's a huge problem. I had a dream to build a company that deals with climate change. I had a company that tried to fix methane emissions, which is a huge problem in climate. And then the company was closed for several reasons. And exactly a year ago, we had me and my co-founder, Adi. She's the CTO of the company. We heard a lecture of one of our future investors based in LA, actually. And he talked about the wildfire crisis in the US and California, and that there's a lack of innovation when you react to the fire and suppress the fire. A lot of technologies go to fire detection, early detection, but then what happens is firefighters come to the scene. They're often short-staffed. They have to allocate their resources, and fires are fierce. They have to be everywhere, and it's impossible. So we took this in both hands and started running as fast as we could to find and try to find a technology and a solution that can help us and help mainly the firefighters improve how they approach fires and how they protect the environments and the communities. So the first approach of FireDome is to protect assets that are at risk. Asset could be any type of asset, agriculture, neighborhood, community, utility, you name it. We have a vision for the future to place these fire domes inside the forests to detect and prevent wildfires from even spreading out in the forest and getting to the urban, wild and urban interface. Which, it happened now in the LA fires and Palisades. The fire started in the wildland and then very fast came to the neighborhoods and wreaked havoc there. The core of the system is a launcher, a mechanical-based launcher, which can launch capsules like 2 feet diameter, 1.5 feet diameter.
Wow.
Quite big, 10 gallons of fire retardant or water. And the launcher can launch these capsules to a range of about a quarter mile. So with a single system, if you do a quick calculation, you will get a coverage of around 80 to 100 acres, depending on the shape, topography, but this is the ballpark. And these capsules are equipped with sensors that can allow us to program the specific location in which they open up and disperse the material above the ground. Okay, and that's how you get fire retardant coverage on the ground, like a footprint of an elliptic shape on the ground of fire retardant, which can be used as a fire break. The airplanes, they drop the fire retardant from a height. We can do that very accurately and to specific places to create fire breaks around the property and then prevent encroaching fires from entering and destroying it. The second thing that we do, the second layer of protection that we do, is by using cameras that look inside the property and try to detect spot fires, which is also a big problem now in the LA fires, because what happened is the brush burned and then the embers flew with the wind, with the strong winds.
Huge embers.
Yeah, and then destroyed a house within minutes, hours, depending on what the house is made of. So we can detect these spot fires as they start from the ember and then launch a capsule to suppress them within seconds. The rate in which we can launch the capsules is between 3 to 5 seconds. And as I said, the range is up to a quarter mile.
Just right there, you can launch a capsule every 3 to 5 seconds.
Yeah. Wow. And the capsule contains 10 gallons. That's the product.
And so many questions. I'm going to go to the big question and then we'll dig down from there. Sure. So we're recording this just in very close proximity in time to when the horrific Los Angeles fires just occurred, and there's still a great concern in Los Angeles as we speak. Practically, based on that specific kind of fire that, like you said, it started in grass or wild areas and then came down into the city. Would your system have had an impact had it been installed in those neighborhoods?
So, Rob, it's a great question, and we're actually now doing a very extensive analysis with the fire behavior analyst that is now working with the LA Fire Department to help them guide the forces and tell them where can a fire come from with the wind, the topography. He's an expert on that, and he works with us also. And we're now detailing these scenarios. 2 main scenarios that we could have assisted in. I mean, there's no silver bullet. The firefighters are the spearhead. We only help them. We can help them gain time. How do we do that? Or better allocate the resources. How do we do that? 2 different methodologies. One is imagine having fire domes in the neighborhoods themselves, always looking for spot fires that start, and when they identify a spot, detect a spot fire, launch a capsule and suppress it. What happened at this area, at this fire, in Palisades, for example, or Eaton, is that the firefighters, they fought a fire front that came from the wildland, but they had to also send firefighters to put out or suppress the spot fires behind them inside the neighborhood. So if we were there, we could have helped them avoid that dispersion of forces. They could have stayed in the fire front and be more efficient with the fire front and not have to go back to the houses deep in the neighborhood and try to spread. And they succeeded. They saved a lot of houses that way. But then the fire front came went stronger and stronger, and they had to allocate the resources. So this is one thing. The other thing is, this is further down the road for us. It's more complicated on the technology, is to increase the range of the launcher. Not a quarter mile, but 1 mile. And then spread out these systems in the wildland area. And we can simulate what are the fire paths, potential fire paths when a fire starts and ignites. And then we can place the FireDome in strategic locations in the wildland to do early detection and suppression and even prevent these fires from entering or getting into the urban area. But this is, again, something that we plan to do in the future. This is the vision. The vision is to prevent these fires when they're small, detect and prevent them when they're small. And yeah, so these are two methodologies in which we could have helped. But again, we're analyzing it. We'll have a more thorough analysis because the fires are still, Palisades is 65% contained as of an hour ago.
Mm-hmm. So one of the most complicated parts has to be in a fire like what was in Los Angeles were the embers. Yeah. The vast amount of flying flame, basically coals, right? Fire starters, if you will, flying around. Yeah. Just quickly, how do you deal with that?
Again, to emphasize, we're not trying to intercept the embers airborne. This is very hard to do,
but after,
impossible.
Right.
Like some of them won't even do any damage, they will dissipate. But the ones that will latch on the rooftop and start a fire on the rooftop, these are the ones we want to suppress within seconds. So, they might do very, very, very local damage, but then very fast we can react to them. And we can do it fast, so we can send, and the launcher can move, right? So we can address multiple threats very fast. This is something that I think could have assisted the firefighters in the type of fire like what happened in LA. And most fires are like that. Most fires they have ember showers and spot fires, and this is something that we from the get-go understood from talking to dozens of firefighters in the past year. Yeah.
So your website opened my mind, and the website is fire-dome.com. It opened my mind to uses for this technology. For example, a vineyard in a wooded area, and you set one of these up to protect the assets. So those can be extremely expensive. I'm thinking about in France, right? Very, very expensive assets that you have to protect. Was the original idea to create something to protect individual assets? And did the fires in California make your mind go bigger to, or other wildfires might make your mind go bigger to neighborhoods? Or was that always there?
So it was always there. We targeted, after a careful analysis that we did on the different markets, one of the most important things for a startup is to correctly identify and do it as early as possible. The verticals, the go-to markets. And we identified 3. One is the vineyards and wineries. We also explored other crops, like avocados and walnuts and berries, a lot of different crops out there in the US. The second one is hospitality, resorts, hotels, and ski sites, which have very high value assets and are very wildfire prone in different states, not only California, Colorado, also Arizona and Oregon. And the third one is HOAs, neighborhoods.
Okay.
Using a launching system for a single house is a bit overshoot. We're thinking about maybe in the future creating a smaller system per house, but I don't think that, this is something that we need to think if it's cost effective. But protecting a small neighborhood, it's definitely been on the vision and on the roadmap since the get-go, since we did that analysis and understood that HOAs are good, potential targets because these are essentially the communities.
Let's talk for a second about the not the specific technology, but how it works. And that is there's 2 parts, correct? to it. Can you explain to us what those are and how they work together?
Sure. So when you refer to the technology, you mean the components of the system. So we have four
Yes.
components, actually.
Yes.
Okay.
One is the launcher, which is mechanically based. No explosives or any chemicals to, because usually when you think about a launcher, you think about explosives and shooting out the missiles. But here
Right.
we don't want to use explosives to keep it safe. The second component are the smart capsules, the capsules with the sensors and the fire retardant. The third component is a filling and loading system of these capsules, because we don't store them on site when they're full. They're stored empty. So we fill them up before they're launched, and then we launch them. We fill them up and then launch. This is the process which takes between 3 to 5 seconds. The fourth part are the cameras that are looking all the time, 24/7, for the spot fires. And once they identify a spot fire, they give the order to the launcher to deploy a capsule and suppress it. And these are the four components of the system. There are also auxiliary components like water that will bring in and a generator that will bring in to be totally independent of the local water supply or the grid. Because we've seen in these fires, in LA fires and a lot of other fires, that there was lack of water. So we want to be our own, on our own and provide this protection for weeks without dependence on any other infrastructure, local infrastructure.
That was going to be one of my questions, if you're relying on power or water or anything. So that's fascinating that you're you're self-contained. Why do you go through the steps of filling the capsules instead of storing already filled ones? I'm just curious.
So I didn't mention that, but for a single system, we have around 3,000 capsules. So imagine storing 3,000 capsules, 10 gallons each. We'll need a warehouse.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
impractical.
Yeah.
So we store them empty, and they take much, much, much less space. And then we mix everything into the capsule. The other thing is, when you leave the mixture of the fire retardant, if we left it for weeks or years or months, it would have synced because it's salts. And then you won't have the solution wouldn't be the same concentration in all of the capsule. It will sink and it will be problematic, and then it won't be efficient. So we want to mix it, fill the capsule, and then throw it.
It's almost like you thought this out and had a really good idea. It's really neat to hear about this solution. It really blows my mind that we don't have this solution today. I mean, we don't have this today, right? Is this a new invention? Am I missing something?
We're not familiar with something similar to that. There are multiple technologies that are used, like exterior sprinklers and the cameras, obviously, and sensors, but we haven't identified something similar to that. And again, I said it in the beginning. There's no silver bullet.
Right.
We can't. There's no FireDome and everything else. It's a chain of solutions. They have to work together, spearheaded by the firefighters. That's not going to change. They are the brute force in this.
Right.
But we can help with different scenarios. Where there's strong winds, we can help. We take the wind into consideration when we launch the capsules. It's physics. It's a ballistic trajectory. We can defend against spot fires. We can provide protection in the wildland in later stages. So we can help.
Where you live in Israel, of course, Israel has had its own tragic period of time in the last year and a half.
Yeah.
Were you sitting in your apartment one night watching the Iron Dome function and thinking to yourself, wait a minute, you know what we could do? We could tie these things together. Where's the inspiration come from, or what you can tell us?
So first of all, I was in the Army 14 years.
Okay.
In the defense intelligence. That was most of my previous career. And obviously exposed to different defensive technologies, and how to address a battlefield, how to do long-term planning, utilizing technologies to protect Israel from the different threats. And we have multiple threats, as you know. And during the war, I actually was in reserves duty, and all the time, fire at Iron Dome, saving us, David Sling, which is another system to protect the sky, and it all clicked together. I don't remember we had an aha moment, but that we talked about it, me and Adi, my co-founder, a lot, and we had other ideas in the beginning which were impractical, but then we started to form this idea. Obviously, Iron Dome is a huge inspiration. Another member of the board, alongside Gabriel, is Pini Jungmann. He was one of the founding fathers of Iron Dome and David Sling. So he's been with us also from the beginning, helping us utilize and take inspiration from what he planned 20, 30 years ago in Iron Dome and how to apply this to FireDome, which I think gave us a very important boost in shaping the system and the methodology.
I think it's really, you're hitting on a very important point, and that is your board of advisors. We were talking before we started that Lee and I have done many, literally hundreds of podcasts and had hundreds of guests, and often I don't believe that founders give enough energy and thought into who else we can bring into this to help us figure this out for whatever reason the reasons may be.
Yeah.
So Gabriel is with us today, coming to us from Paris. Tell us a little bit about how you got involved and what your role is on the advisory board.
Yeah, thank you. Well, my day job is designing insurance products for natural perils. I've been doing this for 15 years now, and I run this within an underwriting agency, an IGA. And whenever it came to insuring wildfire, this was always something that we refused to do. We refused to do it because we thought and we saw that our prices were always too high. If an insurance price is too high, it's very simple. It's because there is an insurability issue. We insure earthquakes in Turkey, we insure cyclones in Australia. It's not a problem. But wildfire in general, the people who come to us are the people who know that they have risk of wildfire. California specifically is an area where there is really an insurability problem. You can provide insurance when the insured have typically done everything they could in order to protect themselves against peril, and then the insurance is supposed to be taking care of the residual risk. For wildfire, this was something where we felt that a physical solution was missing. When we met with Gadi, in Israel there's a very active climate technology ecosystem, and it's within a climate tech entrepreneur group that we met. When I understood was what Gadi and Adi were building, I really had the feeling that this was a very good shot at finding a solution for the wildfire insurability problem. And then it was more of a question of understanding how likely they are to succeed. And I think it's if somebody can do it, it's going to be Gadi and Adi. So I really.
Okay. So Gadi, is insurance then one of the vertical that you're pursuing initially?
So not initially, Rob, but insurance is for us the core of the long-term strategy of the company. And the fact that we're not having business with insurance companies now doesn't mean that we don't talk with insurance companies and the different levels of insurers, because it's more complex than insurance companies. You have the reinsurers, you have the brokers, you have all of the different chain and the adjusters. And so we're trying to talk, and we're talking with many of these parts of the equation, but not in not like to sell to them, but more understand and partner them as design partners and understand their constraints, their demands. How advanced do we need to be to they take us into consideration when, for example, lowering premiums, giving premiums to assets and property owners that were dropped, and a lot of that has happened in California in the recent years, or even offer us as a premium service like they do now with private firefighters. So these are different models that we're thinking about, talking with them about. We haven't decided. I think it's too early. And I think a lot is going to change right after, because of the LA fires. I'm not sure how it's going to change, but I'm sure it's going to change. So this is a strategy that we're building. It's going to take time. So the first systems, the go-to-market, as I mentioned, are private property owners. But yeah, insurance companies are at the core of our strategy, definitely.
Do you believe that this would have a true impact on insurability in a wildfire-prone area? Do you think, and Gabriel, coming to you perhaps, do you think these being installed can truly help allow companies to start insuring these individuals again?
Well, I think insurability on wildfire in the west of the U.S. In general is a major issue. Mm-hmm. And yes, the answer is clearly yes. We don't really know to what extent at this stage, but reducing the actual vulnerability is the first major step into making those homes or businesses insurable again.
I keep thinking about your go-to-market strategy and how it's so wide. There's so many ways, but if you're trying to solve the problem for neighborhoods, right? Who's going to buy it? Who's going to buy it? Is the city going to have to invest? Are insurance companies or individual HOA, like who has to buy the product for you to get the widespread usage?
So first of all, I mentioned HOAs. I think HOAs are the first targets, mm-hmm. target partners that we want to talk with, because they will have the ability to gather an X number of property owners. We don't want to be a B2C company. I don't think it's something that the startup should do, at least not at the first stages. So the HOAs are good focal points.
Okay.
We have also a very important function that is called the fire safe councils. In California, there are over 250 fire safe councils. These are nonprofit organizations, but they are the main, the focal point of educating the community, how to protect themselves, how to create defensible space, how to do home hardening, and all different methods that are now applied to protect against wildfires. I think these are very important partners. We have another member of our board is Seth Shallett. He is the CEO of the Santa Clara County Fire Safe Council. So he gives us a very unique view on how these organizations work. How do they apply technologies, bring in technologies to do detection and suppression? And we're now expanding our reach out. I spoke with the San Mateo Fire Safe Council, over 70 people a couple of months ago. We're working with the Napa Fire Safe Council. We're trying to get to different locations, again in California mainly, to partner with them because they're a good channel to the community. I think government, the county leadership, city leadership, state leadership, for us as a startup, it's more complicated for the first stages. These are definitely, again, long-term strategy are there, but we need to prove ourselves first. Mm. I think before we do a multi-system project with a city or a county, or this is the strategy on that point.
That's
right.
that's fascinating.
Like we live in, I live in not far from Napa, and the Napa fires 1 or 2 years ago were devastating, and not just in many ways, in many ways, but those vineyards have such high worth,
Right.
dollar value, and to replace and replenish them is as another extraordinarily expensive endeavor that you don't want to have to do. Should you be able to avoid it? So that to me makes perfect sense. Are you talking directly to vineyard owners, or are you talking to multinationals who own vineyards, or how are you approaching that?
So we already have 2 design partners on the vineyard sector, one from Napa and one in Sonoma. And what we're doing now with them is doing fire behavior analysis on their property. So taking their property with our expert, analyzing the different fire paths into the property, and showing how putting a FireDome in the property and creating the barriers, the fire breaks, can help stop that fire from entering. And in case there's spotting, identify and suppress the spotting. So this is a process that we do with our design partners. We provide them with this analysis, and then we continue to interview them. I visited both vineyards a couple of months ago, took some pictures, took some videos, and one of these assets will probably be our first demo site. I'm not saying specifically these 2, but they are very good candidates because we're looking for people who will talk with us, who will communicate, who will let us pick their brains and learn how can we better assist them. So yeah, I think this is a very important sector for us, and the more the better. I'm learning from everyone I'm meeting with.
Is this part of why you were stealth for a year? That the concept of doing this is so new and different that you wanted to have time without people glaring at you?
Like we are.
Why make that decision to be stealth?
Yeah, so different reasons. I think first one that you mentioned, we wanted to protect the technology with patents. So we patented the different components, and we wanted to do it without getting exposed. The second thing is we wanted to when we come out of stealth, we want to have something, at least a concrete design that we can show people, like simulations and small experiments and things that are, that it exists and it's not just
real
PP like a PowerPoint.
Right.
So I think this was very important for us to do the progress, to understand that all the boxes are checked. We have the initial design on the technology. We have the go-to-market. We have some partnerships. We validated this idea, this concept with different stakeholders, and there are a lot of different stakeholders, from firefighters to insurance companies to asset owners to policymakers, and make understand that it's a problem and the solution can fit the problem and give it and that it could be adequate for the problem. And once we did all of that, we wanted to start getting into the consciousness of people in the U.S. Again, I'm in Israel. I can travel and I travel, but I have to get myself out there. I have to be published in the U.S. So we did a lot of PR and a lot of social media activity just to get the attention and get the partnerships that we need in order to take this to the next level. That being said, the R&D, the room next to me, they're working, they're building, the electrical engineers, the mechanical engineers, top of the line, from the military, from SolarEdge. They're working on the launcher, they're working on the capsule. And I think everything, hopefully later this year, we'll do the demo in the US, early 26.
That was my question. Now that you're out of stealth, you think early 26 you'll have a product that's ready to go out?
We're hoping to make it to the end of 25.
Okay.
But yeah, the end of 25, early 26, that's the plan. Yeah. We're trying to expedite. We're trying to do it as fast as we can.
Right.
But this is engineering. This is, so we can't cut corners.
One of the things is that you're creating a system that would be operating, if it needs to operate, could be operating in a very adverse condition. It could be asked to function properly in a fire where there's fire all around it. Correct?
Yeah.
I mean, which is kind of crazy. Like even the Iron Dome gets shot off, not necessarily in an adverse moment of time of other things coming at it. You're the opposite of that. You're only going to operate when things are bad.
Yeah. But Rob, something that I didn't mention before, and it's important to mention, what we rely on when we start deploying the fire breaks is an external signal that is, we're not doing it. We're just getting the input from different players, such as sheriff department, fire department, watch duty, which was very strong in these LA fires, very dominant. From the different sensors, we collect the information, and once the system understands that something is approaching, that a fire is approaching, then it starts to work. So it's before all hell breaks loose. We want to have time to create the barrier, at least an hour, 2 hours to create the barrier. And obviously, if a spot fire starts, we'll react to it. But there are extreme cases in which the fire will start inside the property. So then, we're there so we can suppress it.
But you also have to design a product that can sit when it's not being used, because the ultimate goal is to have no fire. So you have to be able to create products that can sit and to jump into action. It's a very difficult process.
Yeah, I mean, many of these areas that did burn just recently in Los Angeles had burned before, but maybe it had been 30 years.
Yeah.
So
it's a fascinating product that
challenging.
Yeah.
Gabriel, I have to ask you, what within the insurance industry, people you're talking to, I'm sure, there must be tremendous excitement about this, yes?
Yes, of course. It's the kind of solution that we all waiting for. There are lots of open questions, obviously, on how this is going to change the vision of the risk, how it's going to be used. But there's a lot of expectations from the insurance industry.
Sure. I'm sure there will be no shortage of interest.
No.
Within it, and that's very exciting. There's just so many questions and so much here. Tell us a little more about you, Gadi. So you said 14 years in the military. You look like a very young man. Does that mean you're just recently, you said you were in the reserve shortly.
Yep.
Tell us a little bit about you.
Yeah, so I left the Army around about 3 years ago. Started a company on methane mitigation. And because of the war, actually, we closed the company. My partner, my co-founder back then, he was the CEO. He was called to the flag to return to the Army, and now he's there. So we broke the company late 2023, a couple of months after the war started. And then in January, we started, me and Adi, working on FireDome. So yeah, but most of my career was at Defense Intelligence, Unit 81, which is kind of a famous unit. A lot of Israeli startups started by people that came out of this unit. The research division, which is also a very important unit, is essentially the unit that's responsible to describe the different threats that are surrounding Israel, and then to make suggestions on how to defend Israel or attack these different technologies and different enemies that we have. I have in my background 2 degrees in chemistry also, but I'm not doing it. I'm not doing chemistry now. Different type of chemistry.
Okay.
Chemistry between people, which is my favorite kind of chemistry. And yeah, and maybe a few words about Adi. She has a PhD in materials engineering, 20 years of background and experience in leading tech endeavors in startups, in corporates. So the perfect partner for me, the perfect co-founder for me, and we kind of complete each other. So that's
amazing.
Great, and it's fun. Yeah.
So now that you're a year into this,
Yeah.
or so, are you excited? I mean, do you feel like, wow?
Every second of the day, we're excited. We want to take this to the next level. We want to hustle and to get this thing, ready as soon as possible. And then the next challenge will be how to deploy it in mass production in the US. And I'm really looking forward to that, because I think it's something that, there are 2 challenges for this company. First is the technology, the engineering, and we're working on that, and we're solving some of the issues. But this is an ongoing process. Hopefully, in about 6 months, we'll have had the product, and then demo it. And the next challenge will be the operations. How to get this widespread into the US, which is our target market. Do it efficiently, and bringing it to the communities that need it the most. A lot of different communities, but we'll have to choose our partners and see who will be the first ones. And for the next 5-7 years, the forests, protecting the forests and spreading out to other geographies. I think these are like Canada, like Australia, like Europe, a lot of different places, unfortunately.
Terrible fires all over the world.
Yeah, all over the world.
Right. And no matter your position on climate change, there's no denying that there's an increase in wildfire,
Right.
all over. And I mean, so your timing here is incredible. In fact, when we had the reach out about having you on the podcast, Los Angeles was burning.
Right.
And I said, we have to have these people on immediately. And so we really appreciate you doing this. And frankly, we would love to have you back on and kind of track your progress every so often and see how it's going, because it's really very interesting to our audience, not just your products, of course, but your journey. To have a revolutionary idea. I'll say that. And how do you go with that? Because it's not a simple idea either. I guess the concept is simple, but making it happen is not simple. And so that's a very interesting combination of factors. And then inside of a market that is, what's the right word? Excited, thrilled, can't wait.
Yeah. There's a huge need.
Huge need.
Has your phone been ringing more since Los Angeles?
Yeah. In fact, I'm having today, I think 3 conversations with different individuals from California. Yesterday, a woman near Lake Tahoe. So it's not just LA. Oregon, Chile, Argentina, Brazil, people from all over the world, mainly the US.
Yeah.
But all over the world are reaching out, and they want to talk and they want to explore. And, again, from every conversation, we learn a lot. We learn a lot. Unfortunately, we can't partner with everyone because we're a small company. We're only 8 people. So again, our target is California first. And, I'm trying to talk with many people and understand their demands, their constraints. How would they like us to help them? Because again, that's the most important thing for us.
Fantastic.
But yeah, it's been busy.
And Gabriel, what will your role be going forward? Are you going to be working directly with members of the insurance community to
Yeah.
work?
Well, first of all, my role is to help them to advise, and so I try to do that. There's a lot of specificities in how you work with the insurance community in general. Understanding who you're talking to, what is the role of each people, what is the decision process, what are the things that can be done, cannot be done, what are the different motivations of each different types of players. So trying to navigate, trying to help Gadi and the team navigate this world is already interesting. And beyond that, I think identifying also the probably the most interesting counterparties is also going to be it's not going to be a big challenge, because there's a lot of interested parties, and there's a lot of very significant players in this market. But we have to make choices. Yeah.
Well, we wish you both all the best with this, and also I have to say, on behalf of all of us Californians, let's go. Come on.
Let's go.
Stop talking to us. Get back to work.
Definitely wrong. Yeah, and then we're planning to do that full time.
Good. Well, listen, thank you very much. And like I said,
thank you so much.
In a relatively short amount of time in our podcast world, we'd love to have you back on to keep track of how this goes. So if you're willing, let's look forward to that.
Sure.
And thank you so much for sharing with us today. We really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys. Thank you. It's been a pleasure and great talking to you. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.
Wow.
Pretty cool, huh?
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, we've covered a lot of stuff that's like really interesting and unusual, and we've covered some stuff that's been like, are you serious?
Yeah.
This is maybe not sliced bread. And then we've covered this. This is the wildest, most interesting thing maybe we've come across.
I think it's really neat. I mean, we've had, and this might be like the second inventor, right? They're inventing a product. I remember Flow by Moen, we had Gabe on, and like they invented that product. This is an inventor.
Right.
They're inventing this product that is such a game changer. And I can only imagine the uses, not only for what he's talking about, HOAs and things, but for large estates, maybe parks and things like that. I mean, it's just a game changer. Winery. It's a game changer in so many ways. And I think that I really hope the best for this one. What a timely thing to be visiting with them.
Yeah. I mean, I think, of course, we haven't seen a demo. We haven't seen it work or anything like that. It seems complicated.
Very
to make
difficult.
It all come together properly.
Yeah.
But boy, is it ever needed, particularly in the world we live in today?
I think so.
Where wildfire is just part of our reality, right?
How cool, though.
So, and it's cool that FireDome's part of our reality too. And we big thanks to Gadi for being with us. Big thanks to each of you who put up with our somewhat irregular schedule. Yeah. At FNO InsurTech, but nonetheless, we continue to bring it, don't we, Lee?
We bring it week or by week after by week. We bring it.
Don't worry about the timing. Just know that we bring it.
Yeah, it's coming. We're going to give you the good stuff. When it comes, you'll know it.
That's right. And so thanks for being with us. Thank you to Al Muya, who is like right now the busiest person at Alacrity.
He's like our rock.
Made time.
He's our rock. He is like steadfast, always there. Really appreciate you, Al.
If there's one thing you can count on, it's Aldrin Muya.
Aldrin. Oh my goodness. Can you count on him? Thank you, Al.
Our technical producer, who has been our technical producer for how long?
5-6 years. I mean, basically forever.
Forever. And so thanks to Al, and thanks to each of you for listening. And until next time.
Goodbye, everybody.